God guards you always. God is with us always. Our breath is with us always. Stephanie and Charlie, I don't really need to speak because they were leading some of the things that I was really wanting us to explore. This month is looking at spiritual mind treatment, the feeling. And the notion in spiritual mind treatment is that we speak words of declaration as an expression of connection with the divine. And through that connection with the divine, more good comes into the world. And the good gets grounded in our world. And in that grounding, we're able to move on and go on to the next thing. This month is about the feeling tone of it. Last month we looked at some of the, what's the form, what is it that, how does treatment, how do we engage in it? But the feeling, how do we get the feeling so that we can practice the prayer? Today I want to look at inspiration in spiritual mind treatment. And I really did. I wanted to take the step back, and that's how Stephanie launched us on that in terms of, part of it is just getting into our bodies, that notion of breathing in. To be alive, we can't do anything but breathe. Anytime we're not breathing, we're not alive. There's a movie, probably Stephanie knows it, there's a movie called Deadpool. And this character, Wade has this life where he doesn't have to be all that thoughtful about his life. He takes jobs, and he's pretty good at his work. He falls in love, and then he hits it. He's diagnosed with cancer. And he does not like the idea of sticking around and having the person that he loves watch him. And someone comes to him and offers him a solution, that there's a cure. The problem is that when he goes to get the cure, it's pretty miserable. And in it, the way that he reaches his cure, they try all sorts of things to push his body to respond. And what finally works is they deny him any oxygen, so he can't breathe. Now you're saying, what does this all have to do? Well, what happens is that Wade becomes something different in that process. We become different in the process of our lives. None of us are the same as the little being that was born from our moms. None of us are the same. I tell the story about that withholding breath, because how often do we go through our lives and just hold our breath? Instead of moving in our world, taking it in a relaxed, whole way. Or I won't say it about we, I'll say it about me. There have definitely been times that I have moved through my life in a state of greater anxiety, and when I had the presence of mind to simply stop and breathe, things changed. So that action of just breathing can completely change it. Now, why is it that it takes stopping and paying attention to it? Well, how many of us, I can again say about me, there are times that I get so involved in my thoughts. I get so involved in my stories. I get so involved in the drama that surrounds me that I'm just holding my breath. Anyone else ever have a story that is so transfixing that you just hold your breath? No. And our society, rather than encouraging us to that healthful path, really loves us to be holding our breath.
Oh, yeah.
There's a real value for society for us to become anxiety-ridden, depressed kind of people. Media after media shows us this is what beauty is. Beauty's here, and I am here. And the relationship between beauty and myself is not always all that close. And it's proposed that if I make the right purchase, or engage in the right exercise, or follow the right program, or say the right prayers, or say the right words, or see the right people, that I can make this shift from who and what I am into the beauty that I would want to be. That process of stopping to breathe, that inspiration, is the first step for prayer. And the lovely thing about it is that we are born with that capacity. So it doesn't require deep training or deep thinking or analysis or scientific studies. They show that once they hit the baby and the baby starts crying, those lungs clear out and the baby is fine. Now again, most babies don't say, if I cry, will I piss somebody off? The baby simply cries and lets us know that something is not right in babyland. We become so fixated on pleasing others, and we internalize those others. We become so fixated that we forget what it is to simply be. So the first thing that I want us to take away today is just to practice what Stephanie provided us with, that we can simply stop and breathe. Stop and breathe. 2 steps. Okay. First step is stop. Second step is breathe. Okay. We're gonna test you on that a little bit later because, you know, unless we repeat it, we can't go there. Now I want to talk about 2 other elements of inspiration. But before I get there, the notion of stopping and breathing is it reorients our bodies. Now, David knows this because as a singer, if David doesn't be thoughtful about his breath, the way that the song gets produced is a very different animal. And your daughter knows that as a dancer and as a performer. There is that being present to our bodies. One of the things about spiritual mind treatment is that it often gets very much oriented on the head. And it's like, I've got to think the right thoughts. And if I don't get the right thoughts in me, then that's where the problem is. But I want to take it back a step and say that it's actually that getting into our bodies is really what's primary. And we forget that. But the point of prayer is that we go from the spirit, through the soul, into the body. There's that diagram. People may remember the diagram from the spiritual mind teachings that Earnest Holmes taught. The circle represents everything. God is all there is. And then it gets kind of divided into 3 areas, with the top referring to mind or spirit, the middle being referred to the law or the soul, and the body being at the bottom. And the body is where manifestation happens. The body of our lives. One of the things about prayer is speaking it out loud. Well, I can't do that. So the second thing I'm going to recommend is, yes, you can do that. You can speak out loud. It's one of the reasons that we practice affirmations. We're saying it out loud with each other. We're saying it out loud as a community. Now, the affirmation does not have to be something complex. It does not have to be a paragraph long. It can be, I am awesome. It can be, I am the best I can be today. But as we say these affirmations, can we feel it in our bodies? difference between the holding on to the attitude, I'm the best I am, I'm the best I can be today, and saying it out loud, walking it around, strutting it, I am the best I can be today. How many times are you convinced of the things that you say? I'm the best I can be today. I don't know that that's convincing. I am the best I can be today. Now, to have that tone of voice, I have to be in my body differently than I'm the best I can be today. The one is tentative. The one is subdued. One has very little power in it. How do we empower our words? The notion in spiritual mind treatment is that speaking our words powerfully has an impact. Speaking them out loud, the other notion is that we are sending out a vibration into the world. Now, we all know that there are certain people with whom we can speak. And we know that it will be a great thing. There are people that can hear us. And they can celebrate with us. But we also know that there are people with whom, if we speak, maybe I'll draw that back and say, I know that there are people with whom I speak, if I say it, they are going to shoot me down. I'm seeing a nod, so it sounds like others may have had that encounter of at being shot down. And that being shot down is one of the things that trains us to shut up. We'd rather be shut up than shot down. At a pretty early age, I learned to make fun of myself so that I would always have the edge on people rather than having them make fun of me first. And I became very good at making fun of myself because if I made fun of myself in such a way that I could get other people to laugh, I was at least getting people to join me in community. As opposed to having people join against me, I at least had people joining with me in being against me. But as you can see, the logic of that is kind of crazy. Yeah. But I say that because we come up with solutions to what's going on in our lives. I got bullied because I was this little wimpy thing. When it was time to play games, and they was picking the teams, the game would start and I was still on the line. Waiting till, I'm like, oh, okay, there they go. There they go. And I'd like join and I'm like, can I be part of your team? They're like, no. Can I be part of your team? Well, I guess. And usually when I'd get the position, the ball field would be where it was. We had a kind of an evergreen patch in our playground. I would always be put like right by the evergreen patch. And to be honest, nothing ever happened there because, if here was the line if this is the line where this is the home base, or I'm trying to think of, looking at. Okay, so here's home base where people are thing, and then here is where, first base that you're running to. The patch of woods was here. Oh. And I was playing, and I was put here, right on the edge. So I wasn't on the field, I was not an infielder. I wasn't on first base. I was catching the foul balls. Yeah, and I wasn't even very good at that. I say this though because we all may find that there are things going on in life and we're just not that good at certain things. So we pursue what we are good at. Which leads me to that second part, the notion of inspiration. Charlie and Stephanie reminded us that inspiration is that being in our body and inspiring in life and letting it go. Inspiration also has another meaning of inspiring to create and make in the world. one of Reverend Pamela, who founded Northern Light Spiritual Center, one of the things that Reverend Pamela taught about consistently was creativity. Inspiration is at the core of creativity. It is finding something that has never existed and bringing it forth. Charlie does that with the images that he creates. He finds objects and he turns them into art. Other people's throwaway things become these objects of beauty. Stephanie, you have taken designs that stretch where people think design can go and where design can be. And you push it out. Your mom sending that crazy candle that would shoot off the flames and unfold like a flower and do the birthday song. I mean, how much can you pack into a candle? Yeah. Really, that's think about it. I want to talk about the coin of inspiration. And I sent this to Stephanie last night when she was asking about what I was going to talk about. Inspiration, we tend to be very attracted to the notion of inspiration in its positive quality, in the head. Heads or tails? You flip a coin. Anybody ever flip a coin? Mm-hmm. Heads or tails? Now, the notion of heads or tails is that there isn't one that's better than the other. Right? Heads or tails. It's just a head or it's a tail. It isn't like good or bad. It's like, I'll pick good, I'll pick bad. It's heads or tails. Inspiration is like that coin, the heads or tails. But we have a habit of associating it with good and bad. Inspiration comes in all shapes and sizes. But sometimes how it lands in front of us, we make judgments about it as positive or negative. So, your friend that was having the surgery on her eye, the circumstance of an eye possibly dissolving and needing to be removed, that is an inspiration. It became a place for prayer. It became a place for focused attention. How many times do we have challenges in our lives? And those challenges actually are inspirations. Rather than sitting and holding on to them as a story to regale people with, oh, you want to know what my day was like? You thought your day was bad? Let me tell you about my bad day. And I work at a school, so you know. That third period class that has those 3 kids, they had those 3 kids and 2 other kids that are just as bad as those 3 kids, and so it becomes 5 kids. And the 5 kids turn the whole class into this. So it's not just those 3 kids that you have in your first period class. It's 5 kids, and so it makes the whole class that much worse. Oh, wait, but you haven't been to them at lunchtime. Lunchtime, it's those 5 kids and 4 others. So it's now 9 kids. And 9 kids, what they can do to the whole group is amazing. So there is this process where our hardships, our travails, we one-up each other. I'm sorry, I said we. Some people will try to one-up. I will try to one-up. Oh, it's that bad? Let me tell you about that. thing about it is that that can be a way to connect. Sometimes that's the way that we have patterned for making connections. Sharing hardships. I mean, when you read the Torah, when you read those scriptures that God incorporated, you know, they aren't all happy, good stories. You know, God goes to Abraham, and it's like, leave your happy country, go somewhere else, become an exile. Woo! I get to go away. I'm going to celebrate that. You know, the Old Testament, the Torah, is filled with harrowing tales. You know, Abraham is promised he's going to have a son. I can't, I'm too old. My wife Sarah, God, she's even older. It's way past the time she could have children. You are going to have children that outnumber the sands and the desert and the stars in the heavens. How is that going to happen? Abraham was not one who was like, woohoo, I'm getting ready for that. It was a struggle. And Sarah, Abraham's wife, was like, hey, I'm not seeing how that's going to happen, so here's my slave. Why don't you be friends with my slave? So actually, Abraham's first child was Ishmael. But as it was, Sarah was none too gung-ho about the slave and Ishmael. You know, so there's that whole kind of other faith. There's the Muslim faith, which celebrates Ishmael as the founder of another group of people. And it hasn't been a happy time there. But Isaac was the son that was born to Sarah through impossibility.
Just what, 90?
Yeah.
And then they have Isaac, and God's like, okay, you're going to sacrifice Isaac to me.
Right.
What? What? So it's not like he's like, okay, Sarah, be calm and easy. I'm taking Isaac out, and I'm going to sacrifice him, and it'll all be good. No. He steals Isaac away, and they're marching up, and he's got all the stuff for the sacrifice, and Isaac is like, hey, Dad, I noticed you've got a lot of stuff for making a sacrifice. And I'm noticing that we left all the animals behind. What is going on here? What is happening? I say this because these stories, we have so many stories about how the circumstances of life can seem suboptimal. The notion of going to the mountain to make a sacrifice and you left all the goats behind. Isaac didn't run away and say, woohoo, you're crazy, dude. Get away from me. I mean, that's not what's in the story. Story after story comes across as harrowing and difficult. And the divine offers a solution in each of those stories. There's a solution that's bigger than how human minds can solve it. So, we were going to, when something comes up, what were we going to do? We were 2 steps. We were going to stop and breathe. When things come before us, the invitation is to look at it as inspiration that has a head and a tail. A head and a tail. How do we be with our harrowing circumstances? Well, we know to stop and breathe. I'm never very good about remembering the number, but the psalm is about, though I walk through the valley of darkness, through the shadow of the valley of darkness.
27 with that.
23. Okay, 23rd Psalm. There, I've been, you know, so I get schooled. The 23rd Psalm. Though I walk through the shadow of the valley of darkness.
Valley of shadow of death.
Okay, well, there are many. There are many translations of it.
Yeah, some say evil, some say death, yeah.
There is the notion of, I don't build my condo there. I don't stay there and pay homeowners dues in that place. So often we are encouraged to set up shop and pay homeowner dues. When that gets encouraged, how do we stop and breathe? So the other side of the coin is, how do we look for what could happen? How do we look for the possibility? Sometimes the inspiration, we have a life so that the inspiration comes through us. Oftentimes that's what we think of inspiration. Inspiration is we are suddenly struck with a new way of seeing the world. And that's the easier place to go to. How many people had those moments when out of the blue something happens? There is something that is uplifting, something that changes how we feel about the world. We can have those moments, and we can look at those, and we can shoot for those. But I say that those harrowing times are equally powerful, and equal opportunities, and equal sources of inspiration. Because what can happen is, we have those moments of, life is so good. The divine is just blessing me so much that we get into the shopping mentality. These were the things that I did to have that really great experience. So if I just follow this checklist, that will come about again. How many times have we tried to recreate something, that perfect night with somebody that we enjoyed? We have that checklist and we're checking it off and we're checking it off and it's like, I'm not feeling it. It's not happening. Are you feeling it? No, no, no. We can get so fixated on the nature of the inspiration that the inspiration can't come through because we're holding on to a particular way and shape and form that it must show up as. So instead of being re-inspired, we're a little bit bitter.
Yeah.
Or I'm a little bit bitter. You said yeah, but
Yeah.
you're taking sympathy and pity on my my fixation on being able to recreate that.
Oh no.
That perfect day with the kids. Okay, we have picnic blanket, we have the Harry Potter books, we're all just going to read out loud, we're going to have fun. Okay, bring it, and it's like they're arguing. Okay, that's not what was happening last time. Maybe I need to go back to that chapter where we were before and the argument won't happen. Didn't happen. When we get so fixated on that fabulous, powerful inspiration, we preclude that powerful inspiration from happening. Sometimes the nature of inspiration is fluid and ephemeral. And it's something that isn't simply created by a set of circumstances, by a list. You know, there are all kinds of books. The 10 steps to becoming powerful. The 10 meditations to do to become wealthy. You know, there's all kinds of, there's 10 of this, and 7 of this, and 13 of that, and there are all kinds of ways, and we're looking for that because we love to think that there is an easy pathway to that inspiration. I say this because I want us to recognize that sometimes inspiration arises, and can we just celebrate it rather than trying to record it and figure out, okay, how do I reproduce this? This was really good. I want it to happen again, and again, and again, and again, and again. You know, this gets touched on a little bit in Groundhog's Day.
Oh.
Bill Murray is trying to woo Andy McDowell, and he's so close. He's kind of come up with this solution, and he gets to a point where she starts slapping him. And he's like, oh, I did it wrong. And then the next day, she slaps him earlier, and slaps him earlier, and slaps him earlier, and earlier in the day. And he's so worn out of trying the same thing over and over again that he approaches it completely half-heartedly. That's that list. I think that movie touches on so many things. He approaches it half-heartedly. And with the notion of inspiration, it's about throwing ourselves in all the way. What eventually happens is he lets go of the notion that he is going to have the perfect time with her, and he accepts something different. He accepts that he is going to make a perfect time for everyone. This is a person who starts out in the film where it's all about what's going to be perfect for me. And by the end, he is like, how do I make life? How do I be a point of change and love and inspiration for everybody that's in this town? Which was a complete transformation. He became the inspiration. And it was only when he became the inspiration that he broke through. That Groundhog's Day stopped repeating itself. So let's look at inspiration. Not only for those moments of fabulous, whole new ways of being, but see the other side of it. One of the things in that film was, it looked kind of like it sucked. Was it awful to be living the same day over and over and over and over and over again? I'm seeing your eyes get big.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us can think of too many days that we'd like to live over and over and over and over and over again. And yet, how often do we actually move through a world living exactly like that?
Yeah.
The metaphor is that that's how we all live. We all live with that kind of, okay, here I am through this day, here I am through this day, here I am through this day. What if we approach the day of the way he decided at one point, I'm going to learn to play the piano. And his first lesson was not fabulous. He was not sounding like David. He was not able to just sit down. But by day 1,332 or by day 8 million or whatever day it was, he could sit down, and she was his proud piano teacher. She's like, he's my student. And she had genuine pride, and he had genuine appreciation for her because she had spent so much time teaching him. And there was this interaction. And he had so much time getting to know everybody, getting to know the quirks, getting to know how everybody is. How do we start to approach each day with the intent that we will be the inspiration? How do we be the inspiration irregardless of what's happening? So if inspiration shows up as that ephemeral moment, to just stop and breathe and celebrate it and feel it. If inspiration is coming to us as a huge challenge to stop and breathe and to see what we can do with it. When Abraham was directed, sacrifice your son, he did it. He did it. He didn't simply say, that's too far. I'm not going there. He didn't confer with Sarah and say, listen, honey, you know that little boy that we had together that seemed like totally miraculous? I've been told to take him and sacrifice him. He didn't do that. He didn't share that. He just went off. Sometimes we have to go off in a way that doesn't make any sense Sometimes inspiration is completely counterintuitive and crazy. Stop, breathe, and just be with it. Out of that place of trust. They found a lamb caught in the brambles, and they sacrificed the lamb instead of Isaac. And that was enough. Let us take inspiration and take what opportunities come to us with gracious, open hearts. Let us choose to be inspiration. Not the Bill Murray of the movie early on in Groundhog's Day. Oh crap, it started again. But to start the day of, this is a new day. This is a new day. And how do I push myself a little further today? How do I do things and explore things and find out things that I've never known or explored or seen before? How do I make myself a vessel for inspiration rather than being a video recording or a checklist of the things that will reproduce something that's happened before? So stop, breathe, and be inspiration. Those are my encouragements for how to approach spiritual mind treatment, for how to approach prayer. And I don't simply mean 5 steps. I mean stepping into our lives and declaring, I am the best that I can be today. And so it is.